Wilcoxon. I'm with the Wilcoxon Collection. I make reclaimed wood and metal art. So I take old wood and take aluminum, and I make iconic shapes out of the aluminum, and I marry that with old wood and make art. This is the only new wood I use to just put them together. I've always said kind of my unique skill set that I've picked up along the way is taking complex things and making them communicate visually. Here's the problem, here's how you fix it. The guitars is where I started. It branched into some crosses, and then I went to animals. The left brain part of me starts taking over and going, I'm not doing this just for ego, I'm trying to make a living. I started doing the states and putting different iconic cutouts in them, like the Mississippi cotton, or putting the Mississippi with a guitar in it, which is like, you know, we're the birthplace of rock and roll, blues, and that Mississippi with a guitar, and it's been one of my best sellers. I would say I've had it in rattling around in my squirrel cage brain here at some point. Probably a railroad trestle. Maybe I want to do a cotton picker. I always said I would never do a deer head because I thought that was the cheesiest thing. But you know, it's one of my best sellers. A catfish is obviously, you know, big throughout the Delta, being catfish farming country, cotton. I would like to take another shot at the ruins of Windsor out from Port Gibson, but I'm trying to build a brand with a following. And, you know, I hope to honor my parents' name with something that people enjoy and will enjoy for years. And I'm not naive enough to think that the reclaimed wood, you know, thing will last forever. I don't think it's quite a pet rock, but at the same time, you know, decor changes, people's taste change, and I'll adjust, you know, I'll do something different. Think about how many of if you look across the landscape of Mississippi, how many dilapidated barns and shacks and structures that go back to an old way of life that are disappearing, you know, for whatever reason, and people want to hang on to a piece of that. The aluminum was just a great contrast to the reclaimed wood, and it kind of popped the differences in the color. And so that was kind of my thought process. And I may have another trick or two up my sleeve before it's over with reclaimed wood. I think a lot of it is nostalgia. Greenwood was a wonderful place to grow up. I mean, we had rivers, we had dirt piles, but you know, the Delta is a farming region, and as an old buddy of mine says, there's really only two classes of people in the Delta. There's pickers and planters, and we were pickers. And, you know, if your dad doesn't own 1,000 acres at this point in life, and it's passed down to you and you farm it, you don't really have a reason to be there because there's no businesses there. When I think of rural Mississippi, the Delta or Greenwood comes, you know, immediately to mind. Even the blues piece, I've got a little church that's one of mine, and people buy it and they go, oh, it's a pretty little church. And I go, yeah, but you want to know the history of that church? That is the church that Robert Johnson, the blues singer, is buried behind. I would say primarily it's nostalgia. You know, people go back to home, rural Southern. People grew up with grandparents or parents that took them to the country if they weren't from the country, if they were in town, or they grew up in the country and they like old, you know, and I love anything old. I like using old things. I like, you know, working with old things, and there's something renewing, I guess, about taking something that somebody's tossed aside and making something out of it. I think it's, you know, it's kind of our nature to want
repurpose things.